Can you hear me? Just to check. On my voice check. Hello? Hello?
Councillor Robinson?
Yes.
We can hear you okay. We'll be starting
Awesome.
shortly.
Thank you.
Happy Thursday. Good morning. My name is Councillor Lily Chang. I'm the Vice Chair of the North York Community Council. We have quorum. I'm now calling meeting 11 to order. Welcome, everyone. Although we may be meeting in different places, North York Community Council would like to acknowledge the land that we are meeting on. It is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and is being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. If you are interested to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in the order that they appear on the list. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the North York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the City Clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the Clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you to please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at nycc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the item number and the nature of the interest.
NY 11.6. I own a property in the area.
Okay. So Councillor Burnside has a declaration of interest for NY 11 and 11.6. And we have duly noted that. May I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting on January 24th, 2024? Moved by Deputy Mayor Cole. All those in favor? Show of hands. Carried. Members, we have 24 items on the agenda. We have public speakers on some of these items, so I'm going to go through each item and we can move them or hold them depending on if they have speakers. So NY 11.1, Councillor Carroll has said that she would like to move the supplementary report and the staff recommendations. Anyone want to ask questions of staff? So let's move supplementary report. All those in favor?
So who's moving this?
Carol.
I'm moving it.
Oh.
I'll move the supplementary report.
Okay.
Yep, and then I'll move staff recommendation. It's all the same thing? Okay. So all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Great. 11.1 is done. 11.2, I have a motion that's being worked on, so I'm going to hold that. 11.3, there are speakers, so we'll hold that. 11.4, there are speakers, so we'll hold that. 11.5, there are speakers, we'll hold that. 11.6, So this is the one with
Do you want me to leave?
any speakers for 11.6? And does anyone want to hold 11.6?
So then I can leave?
And the three of us are sufficient? Okay.
So when someone has declared an interest, they can leave.
Okay. Right. Okay, we are going to, does anyone have questions of staff on 11.6? No. Anyone want to speak on the item? We're going to move staff recommendations, and we're going to record the vote. So all those in favor, Councillor Robinson, Deputy Mayor Cole, and myself. 11.6, that carries. Great, thank you. So we can invite Councillor Burnside to come back. There you are. You're back. Okay. So 11.7, we have speakers. 11.8, this is we have speakers. 11.9, we have speakers. 11.10, I'd like to move staff recommendations for 11.10. All those in favor? Show of hands, carries. Oops. Um, 11.11. Deputy Mayor Cole. Do you have any questions of staff? Your micro-
Deferral?
You're going to defer the item
Yes.
to next community council, next North York Community Council?
Next is enough time for deferral?
April 4th?
Yeah, okay. So next, yeah, April 4th, yeah.
To the April 4th North York, April 2nd North York Community Council.
Okay.
So we'll defer item 11.11 to the next. All those in favor of deferral? Carries. 11.12, there is a speaker, so we'll hold. 11.13, there's also a speaker, we'll hold. 11.14, Deputy Mayor Cole. Do you have any questions of staff?
14, Latimer, yeah, move approval.
Deputy Mayor Cole would like to move, I'm sorry? He's moving staff recommendations, yes.
Yeah, moving staff recommendation.
All those in favor, any opposed? All those in favor, carries. 11.15, also Deputy Mayor Cole.
Move deferral
Till
till the
April
April
2nd?
2nd, yeah.
Deputy Mayor Cole would like to defer the item to April 2nd. All those in favor of deferral? Moved. Yep. 11.16. That is also Deputy Mayor Cole.
Move approval.
Move staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 11.18. Oh, wait. 17. 11.17. And there is a speaker, so we have to hold that one. 11.18.
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I'm gonna, that's my item. I'm actually gonna defer that for, 1 month because there's some outstanding pieces, the, Munro Boulevard.
Okay, so Councillor Robinson is moving to defer to April 2nd. Councillor Robinson?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we'll move 11.8, defer 11.18 to April 2nd. All those in favor? It's defer, sorry, yes. Defer 11.17. Was there? Oh, yes, there's a speaker on it. So is Kathy Satarian here? She is here. So you can speak next month when this item comes back. Yep, thank you. So we're going to vote again on the deferral. We're deferring 11.17 to April 2nd, North York Community Council. All those in favor? Show of hands, carry. Okay. 11.18.
If there's no speakers on that, I'd like to move staff recommendations.
No speakers. So we'll move, Councillor Robinson is moving staff recommendations for NY 11.18. All those in favor, show of hands, carry. $11.19. Councillor Carroll has requested that we move staff recommendations, which I will move. So we're going to move Ethennonnhawahstihnen Lane and Mahone Drive parking amendments. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carry. $11.20. Still have some questions, so I'm just going to hold that. 11.21, I'd like to move staff recommendations. All those in favor, show of hands. Carry. 11.22, Councillor Cole, Deputy Mayor Cole.
Move staff recommendation.
Deputy Mayor Cole would like to move staff recommendations. 11.22, all those in favor, show of hands. Carry. 11.23, there is a speaker, so we'll hold that. 11.24, Councillor Burnside.
Yes, I have, it's a motion, I'd like recommendation number 1, which is the only one, to designate Don Mills Road between the Donway west and east from the south side, from the southernmost part to the northernmost part as a community safety zone.
So Councillor Burnside is moving staff recommendations. All those in favor, show of hands, carry. Yep. Okay. 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 So we'd like to move a motion to introduce a new item by Deputy Mayor Cole.
Yes, just looking to start the process of polling the residents on Glengrove Avenue to poll them about installing speed humps. Since Glengrove Avenue is one of the raceways that the auto thieves are using to steal cars, endangering lives, so we've got to slow the auto thieves down before they kill someone as they're stealing cars. So I think this is an urgent matter. It'll help because the feds are preoccupied with dealing with who uses washrooms, but we've got to deal with the reality of these auto thieves.
Okay, so we're moving to add this to the agenda. All those in favor, show of hands, carry. I'm going to continue holding 11.2 and come back to it because there is a motion being prepared. So we'll move to 11.3 speakers. I'd like to invite Madeline Lewis to speak. Are they here or online? No. Okay. Robert Pickering. Robert Pickering, are you here? No. Okay. Deputy Mayor Cole, do you have questions of staff on this item? 11.3.
Yeah, right. This is on, in Lawrence Heights. For 10 years, we've been waiting to build a community safety hub in Lawrence Heights. And we're finally reaching the point in our capital budget where there's going to be, a city is putting forth $25 million to build this community safety hub, and the federal government is about to announce a matching amount. So it's long awaited for the people of Lawrence Heights to have this community safety hub built in the Heights. And so in order to accommodate this new community hub, we have to demolish some of the existing homes, but they will be relocated in other accommodation, has been part of the Lawrence Heights Revitalization Program, which is providing thousands of new homes for people in Lawrence Heights, in Canada's largest public housing complex, Lawrence Heights, which is 100 acres, the largest public housing site in North America. And they're finally getting a community center after waiting for it for a lifetime. So I'll move approval.
Congratulations, Deputy Mayor Cole. Yeah. So we're moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 11.4, we have two speakers. Is Enda McDonough from Montgomery System Architects here? She's online? Okay.
Yes, I'm online, sorry.
What's that?
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have...
I'm here to, I'm here to speak on behalf of Greenwood School and answer any questions if anyone has them on the topic.
Okay, are there any questions for the speaker? Councillor Robinson, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
No. Oh, no, it's just if she has questions of the... So we'll move on to the next speaker, who is Greg Russell. Greg Russell is online. Greg, you have 5 minutes.
Good morning, Chair and members of Council. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you. Thank you. You have
Thank
5
you.
minutes.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Greg Russell, and I'm a property owner and resident with my wife and son on Balliol Street in proximity to the subject lands specified in this application and referred to in City Planning's report for action. I have approximately 12-year history of a positive relationship with Greenwood School Administration, both as a resident and as a past president of the local resident association, dealing with a number of concerns in the community. Excuse me, I represent a few of the neighbors on the street within proximity of the subject site. Generally, we are in support of this application as presented before council and recognize the CR and R zoning labels applied by City Planning in the report for action, attachment 6, which we agree with for the subject lands in this application. Understanding we are not a signatory on the site plan when submitted, we wish to be able to review the site plan when made available so that we may submit our comments, if appropriate, through the councilor's office. A key concern to us continues to be street traffic generated by the school's stated desire to use a recreational field on evenings and weekends, and the potential for additional street traffic and impact to limited parking on the street. Recognizing this will be addressed through the site plan process, We will continue to work with the school and through the counselor's office to address these concerns. Lastly, we wish this process to consider at site plan stage the requirement for increased sidewalk width both on Mount Pleasant Road and Balliol Street to address pedestrian safety, and pedestrian flow from a planning perspective. In closing, I wish to acknowledge the positive dialogue we have had with city planning and our counselor's office over the last 7 months in regard to this application and discussing our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker?
No.
No. Any questions of staff? No. Anyone want to speak on the item? Councillor Robinson?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Today, I guess you're the chair. So I'd like to move staff recommendations and thank the residents for their feedback, input, and patience around this. Very aware that traffic is an ongoing issue, given it's at Davisville and Mount Pleasant. And so we will keep our eye on that, but would like to move it today.
Great. Councillor Robinson would like to move staff recommendations on 11.4. All those, excuse me. Councillor Robinson would like to move item NY 11.4. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 11.5, we have a speaker, Jeff Cattell from the Leaside Residents Association. Greg, are you here? Jeff, are you here? Online, Jeff. Welcome, Jeff.
Yes.
You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What this is another application for the Bayview Eglinton area, not in the core, but in the secondary zone. The context of this is, of course, when the city adopted a young Eglinton secondary plan back in 2018, but had to submit it to the province for approval. When it came back in 2019, there were 194 changes to that plan with changes to land use designations that went from 6 stories as the city approved it, and it went to 20 to 35 stories as approved by the province, without any consultation of any kind. Anyway, where we are now is this parcel, a very small parcel, is at Bayview and Bayview and Roehampton in the northwest corner of that intersection. 419 residential units, a little bit of retail, 384 square meters, 44 parking spaces, and an FSI of magnificent number of 20.51. Probably a new record. We're obviously in support of the staff report, which is recommending to oppose this application. I'd like to point out the height, 46 stories, and the density over 20 of the proposed development are excessive and do not conform to even what the province approved when they overrode the city in the Young Eglinton secondary plan. The Bayview focus character area in the secondary plan is the easternmost core, Young, Mount Pleasant, Bayview, and it says it will be predominantly characterized by mid-rise buildings, punctuated with tall buildings in proximity to the new transit station. Well, this is not exactly mid-rise. And the density was supposed to decline from Young over to Davis, over to Mount Pleasant, over to Leaside, from 600, then 350, then 200. So with 46-story building with an FSI of over 20, if that's permitted in the Bayview focus area, if that happens, the resident and job figures reached for the Leaside station area would far exceed what's deemed desirable for the area, especially as no services are provided. As I said, it falls within the secondary zone, and yet it's what they're coming forward with is far in excess of what was envisioned for the core area. There's no transition to the residential development further west. They've got 2 at-grade townhouses. The site is very small. It's the car wash that exists right now. The minimal green space is proposed. The proposed number of parking spaces grossly inadequate for 419 residential spaces. There'll be major parking issues in the whole area. People will be dependent on deliveries, and that's not being provided for. The shadow impacts on the surrounding development. The underlying assumption seems to be that everybody will use the LRT, but is that realistic given the level of rush hour congestion being experienced by those wishing to transfer from the Eglinton corridor to the Line 1? Well, there's retail, of course, on the ground floor, and the rest of the building is all residential. We would love to have seen some actual employment generating uses at this intersection. There's no provision right now for the inclusion of affordable units subsidized. Wind impacts are of concern. The suitability of the lane next door, the Badali family lane, to safely accommodate vehicles serving the buildings.
Final
that's an
comment?
issue.
You have 5 seconds.
Yeah, I could continue a while, but it's pretty evident that they're using the services for service study that the city did in 2018.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off.
And
Your comments have been heard.
there's no additional provision.
Thank you, Jeff.
Question.
So we have a question of the speaker, Councillor Burnside.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to make sure I understood correctly. You are concerned with one of your concerns. I know you always have many, but one of your concerns is the dearth of parking. So are you suggesting you want more parking for more cars?
Well, I think it's a matter of the city, right? The city has reduced the requirement for parking. So it's an observation that how would this be accommodated?
Well, no, I recognize that. I'm just trying to understand because you're deputing, and I just want to understand where you're coming from. Would you like to see more parking for more cars?
It's an observation. I don't know. It will have to be looked at.
Okay, thank you.
How will transportation be accommodated in this building?
Any other questions of the speaker? Deputy Mayor Cole?
Yes, Jeff. So you mentioned 6 stories was the original application? Was there an application for 6?
Well, not the original application. The original official plan amendment for the Young Eglinton secondary plan envisaged increased density, stemming from the coming of the Eglinton Crosstown. So there was some increased density put onto Bayview, and that was in the area of 6 stories. And of course, when it went to Queen's Park, it came back very different.
Yeah, so that was OPA 405 that basically...
Correct, OPA 405.
Yeah,
yes.
overrode the city secondary plan.
Exactly.
Do the residents know, are they aware of the changes that the provincial government has made to legislation, which basically says it's a free-for-all at any one of these transit stations, they could build whatever the height they want, whatever density they want. Are the residents aware of, Bill 23, Bill 109, Bill 108, Bill 39? Are they aware of the provincial government has made these changes, which basically allows for really unlimited height at any transit station?
That's an excellent point, Councillor Cole. I got a couple of things I can say. I represent, in this regard, the east side of Bayview. So the proposal is actually on the west side. There has been a new de novo resident association created on the west side. It's called the Broadway Area Resident Association, and they have submitted a letter today from Jesper Thoft, their president, and they are very much working hard to raise awareness on the west side of Bayview, over to Mount Pleasant, of the impacts of Bill 405 and the 3 or 4 applications that have already come in, 1840 on Glazebrook and this one 1802. They're working hard, but your point is right. It's a struggle for people to understand what has happened here. Back in 2019, our association has approached the provincial auditor back last August in the aftermath of the Greenbelt debacle. We said, please, Ms. Lysick, take a look at what's happening with official plan amendments in Toronto. It's not just in the Greenbelt. There's wider issues here of overriding of the city decision making, and without any studies or any rationale.
Yeah.
But just
So you've tried your best to ask for some accountability at the provincial level. And the other question I have, in my ward, we're doing, we've got 120 developments in the pipeline. That's more developments than any other city in Canada in one ward. And some of the residents have written the local MPP, and I was wondering if the local MPP there is responding the same way that my MPP is. She's saying that the province has, quote, no role to play in planning decisions in the city of Toronto. And what is your MPP saying, or the MPPs in that area? What is their response if they've ever requested the comment on a development?
This is the last question for.
Well, our MPP is Stephanie Bowman. I was at the legislature yesterday and talked to her in the corridor for 10 minutes. She, that very day, had been asking questions in the question period. She's very concerned about the overriding of the city. Your MPP clearly needs to go back and check her facts, because it doesn't sound like it's correct. There's no question that the city has been overruled, and I guess part of our concern here is that staff is to encourage the city staff to look carefully at the OPA 405 and not just assume it's a whitewash, but in fact there are conflicting policies within 405 that make it very questionable.
Okay,
I think the policies in that document.
Anyways, thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions of the speaker? Questions of staff? Anyone want to speak on this item? Deputy Mayor Cole?
Yes, I would like. Yeah, I would like to speak.
So Deputy Mayor Cole will speak first, and then Councillor Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Councillor Robinson, if you want to speak first, you can. It doesn't make any.
No. Go ahead.
You're probably going to
ahead.
say the same thing. But anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is another illustration of the, they talk about the Greenbelt and that debacle, which is under criminal investigation by the RCMP. And I'm glad to see some residents are starting to wake up to the fact that there should be an investigation into all this out-of-control development that's occurring all over the city of Toronto. As I said, the city of Toronto must have 1,200 active development applications happening. As I said, I have 120 in my ward. And it's not to say there isn't, there's legitimate need for intensification, there's a legitimate need for density, and we are certainly doing our part. As I said, I've got 120 of these going on. It's about 20,000 units. I've got 19 towers going into the Yorkdale property. I got every corner. And I've got similar ones to this one where we had a development that was approved by the previous tribunal called the Ontario Municipal Board. They duplex in Eglinton. They approved, I think, 36 stories. Then they went back to the new tribunal called the Ontario Land Tribunal, which is this mysterious, secretive body that meets in a basement somewhere. And they got approval for 60 stories, I think, maybe 59. I lose track of all these towers. From 36, it wasn't enough to have 36. They got about 60. So this is happening all over the place. As Mr. Keitel said, the city's overruled. The public doesn't even know these changes have been made. So then the public comes to Councillor Robinson and myself and says, well, you got to stop this. The city's in charge of planning. And we say, well, listen, there's been a few pieces of legislation that says the city is no longer in charge of planning in the province, that it's the Ministry of Municipal Affairs that through all those massive pieces of legislation has totally shut out the public and shut out the city from the decision-making process. And our city staff is trying the best to deal with these unbridled changes that are complicated, that are very impactful, and it's all done under the guise of affordable housing, or housing, not affordable. And as Mr. Keitel mentioned, there, would be wonderful even if some of this development would include affordable housing, but the provincial government has basically said, we do not want or we will not allow any affordable housing in these new developments. Because the City of Toronto passed a bylaw asking for what is called inclusionary housing so that a certain number of units in these towers would be affordable. The province says no, the developers cannot afford to include any affordable units. Not one, not two, not three, they can't afford it. So all these towers are going up, like this one here, the 46 stories. There's no market affordable for, nurses, plumbers, PSW. They can't live in this because the province will not allow them to live in these new towers because they say the developers cannot afford to put in one unit that's affordable. And so the real issue is the complexity of all these changes. The public hasn't caught up because media is not even able to report the complexity. It's very challenging for them. The city is trying to do their best as local councillors. Councillor Robinson and myself especially been involved with this for too long. And then the staff is trying to do their best to explain to people we've had new changes, and like the rule that says basically if you're within 400 meters of any major transit station, you can build what you want. You build 40, 50, 60, 100 stories, whatever you want, because the province has said if it's near a transit station, build what you want. So anyways, I want to thank Jeff and local residents for at least trying to fight this and trying to make the public aware of these changes. And I certainly support the staff fighting this at in some basement where the tribunal sits, wherever they sit, whoever they are, but they'll decide.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Cole. And now, Councillor Robinson, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I want to adopt the item and send staff to attend the OLT. As you know, we've heard, thank you very much. I think I should say to Councillor Cole and to Jeff Keitel for all your comments. Really spot on. And I really feel like I don't need to say much because both Jeff and Councillor Cole has covered it, but I would just simply say this. It's quite egregious, this plan, this tower. And I have to say, what Councillor Cole's talking about is happening throughout my entire ward. They put in an application for, 6 or 8 stories, and suddenly it pops up to 46. So we're getting 1-2 applications on these. They're just all growing as time passes. I think city planning, you can see from the report, have a lot of issues with this. I have a lot of issues with this, and the neighborhood does. And, it's as important as the lot can't accommodate this type of bill. Like, that's fundamental. The lot cannot accommodate this. They're also worried about the helicopter flights and over to Sunnybrook. So even Sunnybrook's aware and involved. So I'm really happy about this report before us. Staff will attend the OLT, and I'm moving that at this time.
Councillor Robinson would like to move staff recommendations for 11.5. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 11.7, I believe Councillor Carroll would like to hold that, so we'll continue to hold that. 11.8, we have a speaker, Jeff Oulahan.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody. I'm just here to answer any questions. If anyone has any questions, we have a great relationship with our existing tenants, and I'd like to thank the city for working this along. Thank you.
Any questions of the speaker? No. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to move staff recommendations for 11.6. Is it 6? 11.8, sorry, yes. 11.8. Any, all those in favor, any opposed? Carry. 11.8 carries. 11.9, we have a speaker, Michael Testaguza. Michael, you have 5 minutes.
Good morning, members of council. Here representing the owner of 290 Sheppard relative to this staff report. I reviewed the report and the conclusions. We obviously are in support of the same, so I'm really here to answer any questions anyone on council may have. Otherwise, just indicate support for the staff recommendations.
Any questions of the speaker? No, I have questions of staff. So with regard to this project, a hotel on Sheppard, I'm wondering, do we expect when people are dropped off, because this location is not that close to the subway, and there aren't that many parking spaces to serve this future hotel, are we expecting people to stop on Sheppard?
Through Chair, no, we expect people will use the area where the parking is located, the driveway from Sheppard, to pull in underneath the building and turn around and not stop on Sheppard. There's not facilities that will be provided for vehicles to stop on Sheppard in lanes of traffic.
So where is the lobby of the hotel? Is it facing Sheppard or facing the back?
The lobby faces Sheppard, but there's access from underneath that archway directly into the lobby.
So we are going to cross our fingers and hope that Uber drivers will actually turn in and drop people off and not just stop on Sheppard?
So through the chair, we do have our staff from Transportation Services here.
Great.
Perhaps I could ask them to come up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, we've asked for a revision to the transportation impact study to address this concern.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Through the chair, we've asked a revision to the transportation impact study to address this concern for where Uber drivers and other vehicles will do pick up and drop off, so there will not be an impact on Sheppard Avenue.
So there is another revision in the pipes, or this is the revised version?
No, we're asking for another revision.
Okay, and so we are going to move the zoning changes, but we are asking for a revision. Is that what I'm hearing?
What I'm saying is that this will be addressed at the site plan stage.
Okay. Did you have comments to add, David?
Through the chair, I was going to say the same thing, is that there will be a site plan application that will be forthcoming, and that we'll be working through that.
Okay. And there is mostly hardscape on this property. What is the percentage of hardscape?
Sorry, Councillor, I don't have that number in front of me right now. That, and is something, the final details of that will be dealt with through the site plan process, not through zoning.
So we will be requiring some permeable surfaces in order to prevent future flooding?
Through you, Councillor, this has been reviewed by engineering in terms of the amount of permeability and the stormwater controls, and that has all been determined to be satisfactory through their review of the zoning application.
So it looks on the site plan that there is very little, if any, soft surfaces. Is this common for buildings on major arteries that we're not requiring permeable surfaces?
Through you, Councillor, the chair, there is retention on site through the design. Like there's a stormwater tank in the basement that captures the stormwater from the surface parking areas that doesn't get caught by the lawn area at the rear of the site.
So there's an engineering solution rather than requiring permeable surfaces.
That's correct.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to move staff recommendations on this item. Any opposed? The item, do we have quorum?
Yes.
Oh, there, yes. All in favor of staff recommendations? Carry. Okay, 11.9, we have nope, that was 11.9. 11. That was 11.9. 11.12. We have a speaker, Reza Shamsipur, who's here. Hi, Reza.
Yeah, good morning. I have some pictures of the property I want to show. I think everybody already has the pictures, but
okay.
I want to show the condition of the property.
So So we're seeing conditions of the property. This is 11.12.
So nobody lives in this house for quite a while, and it causes a safety hazard for even the kids. And there has been bums in the house also too. We're asking for this to be demolished. And gas and water and electricity has been disconnected for quite a while, and is invading another property, 15 Old Colony. Yeah. So if there's any questions.
Any questions of the speaker? No? Thank you, Reza.
Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Any speakers on the item?
I'd like to speak.
Okay, Councillor Robinson.
So, yeah, I'd like to approve I'd like to approve it with conditions.
So recommendation number 3, approve the
Yes,
application to
exactly.
demolish with conditions. Counselor Robinson
Yes.
would like to move, and would you like to speak further on the item?
No, I don't think it's necessary. I think this is fine.
Okay, so Counselor Robinson is moving recommendation 3, demolish with conditions for NY 11.12. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Madam Chair, while you
Yes.
says Councillor Carroll, I apologize for struggling with the login. I'm out at Scarborough Civic Center having trouble logging in, but I'm finally in on someone else's computer.
Great. Would you like to do your item at NY 11.7 now? Or would you like a moment?
Oh, yes, I would. No,
Yes.
I'd be happy to.
Great. 11.7, 1800 Sheppard Avenue East. Do you have any questions of staff, anyone? Oh, hold on, we have a speaker. So there are 3 speakers, so we'll start with the speakers. Anna Corsereno from Working Women Community Center, and she's here. Thank you, Anna, thank you for coming, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, council members. My name is Anna, and I'm also a resident of the community. I've been a resident for the past 24 years and also a community leader for the past 14 years. I've been able to create different resident leader groups that work towards improving environmental action and engaging newcomers in the community to become more active members. And also I chair several community organizations that do a lot of work, amazing work in the community, including Fairview Interagency Network, Build a Better Fairview, and more. And so in preparation for this development and also to make sure that we get the community participation to speak on this development, we created a survey and we got several hundred people to complete the survey. And also we have created a report regarding our recommendations for this development. The Fairview development includes 12 new condominiums to be built on a 18-acre site, which will increase density by 2.5, as well as it would add close to 5,000 units on the site. So I've personally spoken to hundreds of residents in the area, and these are their concerns as well as mine. So the first concern, especially since being a resident of the north community, the community north to the development, is that building height should be reduced so that the light should not be obstructed, especially during winter months, so that residents living in single detached homes in the area can also participate in the Transform TO initiatives, put solar panels on their roofs, and grow veggies in their gardens. This is also a consideration for the community garden that is at Oriole Community Garden, which is right next door. The second major concern is traffic and density. This area is a bottleneck for traffic, and there's been lots of accidents that have happened on the streets. Including myself, I was almost hit by a car. My partner was actually hit by a car. Friends have been hit by a car and sent to the hospital in crossing from Fairview Mall onto the North Community, crossing Fairview Mall Drive. This area is often crossed by lots of students who come from the Parkway Forest community area and nearby areas going to the high school and middle school, right also on the north side of the mall. And so this is a very important issue, and we would like it to be addressed by the developers as well as by architects and by the clients. Another extremely important issue that we would like to raise is affordable housing. Since 1980s, the amount of affordable housing went from 0.01% to, let me see if I can get this without cracking a laughter. So it went from 0.01% in 1980s to 0.0008% today. So I'm sure that with the 5,000 units that we are providing and hoping to build in this area, we can provide at least 20% of affordable housing, not only to make up for the lost affordable housing that has been left to the ditched to the side throughout the years, but also to comply with current standards. Also, this community would like to have more parkland and to have outdoor spaces that are comfortable to sit in and also comfortable to use at all times of the season. Community developed that was right south of the Fairview Mall, which is the Parkway Forest condos. They are high, tall, and very close together, and this creates a very strong wind tunnel that does not allow people to walk by. Have you ever seen a floating poodle? I have. So it's very important. It's very important to take it into account. We are a very vibrant and collaborative community. We would like to thank the city planners for refusing the proposal, and we would like to continue to collaborate with the developers. In the words of our famous architect, Hariri, he says that architecture is an opportunity to inspire, and they would like to have a chance
Final comment.
to try. So this is our chance. Let's try to inspire our next generation.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? No? Thank you very much, Anna. Our next speaker is Arlene Pastores from the Broadway Area Residents Association, and she's here in person. Welcome, Arlene.
Thank you, Madam Lily.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Arlene Pastores, and I am a senior citizen, a marginalized woman, and a member of Justice Makers advocacy group at Willowdale. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. Today, I'm here to speak about Cadillac Fairview's proposal to develop residential buildings around Fairview Mall. I urge you not to refuse Cadillac Fairview's proposal. Rather, I urge you to work with the developer to negotiate a proposal that includes community consultation. You know, this issue matters to me because I want my views considered in this development proposal. If the city refuses Cadillac Fairview's proposal, the likelihood of Cadillac Fairview is going to the Ontario Land Tribunal increases. The OLT does not provide space for community input. Furthermore, provincial regulations do not require affordable housing as part of a new development proposal. We need affordable housing in the city. We are in a crisis. Affordable housing is more likely to be secured through negotiations between the city and developer. It will not be secured through an application at OLT. In conclusion, I recommend that you work with Cadillac Fairview to negotiate a development rather than refusing the application outright. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Arlene? No? Thank you, Arlene, for coming to make
you.
a deputation. Our final speaker on this matter is Florencio Almiron. Welcome, Florencio. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Florencio Almiron. I'm a resident of Don Valley North, Ward 17. I love my ward because I live with my favorite councilor, Shelley Carroll. What I'm going to discuss today has been touched twice by the previous speakers and from Deputy Mayor Cole. It's about affordable housing. I'll make it short. I will just reiterate what Arlene, the previous speaker before me, what Arlene has discussed, that we are asking the council to negotiate, not to refuse, the Cadillac Fairview project proposal. If we do negotiate, if there's a way to negotiate with Cadillac Fairview, there's likelihood of affordable housing, because this is what we want from the developers, to get a little percentage of the units, of the whole unit, for affordable housing, because in my ward, we also have low-income residents like me. Therefore, I ask that we do not outright refuse this project. Rather, we would negotiate, because again, we're negotiating for affordable housing. The Cadillac Fairview has publicly announced that they are open to revisions, adjustments, and negotiations. So I'd rather urge you to negotiate rather than refuse. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? No. You got thumbs up from your favorite counselor.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Florencio. And any questions of staff on this matter? No questions? Okay, any speakers on the item? Councillor Carroll?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I do have a motion, and if you want to have it posted on the screen there, quickly read it, to refer the item back to staff so that the applicant can work with city staff to address comprehensive planning issues for the overall site at 1800 Sheppard on such matters to include, but not limited to, the phasing of proposed development that addresses land use, including the mix of residential and non-residential uses, including affordable housing, including the mix, including the provision of a public street network and good public realm, site organization, integration of development with TTC facilities, and I hope I can consider the rest read. Madam Speaker, I really want to thank the local residents for coming today, because they knew I would be moving this motion, and they knew there will come a day when we have a report and we'll want to speak then. But they wanted to make sure that they were also getting a chance to speak to the approach we're taking here. Staff were following what is our normal process in bringing to you a refusal report after a period of time, but in working since that report was written with Cadillac Fairview, they are very committed to continuing the type of collaborative approach that we're taking right now. One that, as we know, all of us know, is not possible if we go the OLT route. Things get very in camera and cut off the community and just follow in basically on paper, and even we get a bit cut out as councillors. And so we said to them, you're building a neighborhood here. What's before you is an application for 3 buildings, but this neighborhood, as Anna pointed out in the first deputation, will eventually be 12 buildings, maybe more, almost 5,000 units of housing. We're building a whole neighborhood here. And so we really have to take the whole neighborhood approach with these first 3 buildings. And my colleagues have been in this position before. You know what happens when we go straight ahead and refuse. It all just shows up as a CC report in council and in camera, so you can't even talk to your community about the final negotiations. We would like to see the itemized things that you see in this motion properly negotiated, but we know that it's a big ask of the applicant not to just file and go to the OLT. And so we're putting a hard deadline on this that I have worked out with the chief planner. She has committed that this can be top of basket and try and meet that deadline so that the last time we meet as a community council before going to summer break, if we're able to organize these things in a public item, not an in-camera item, we should be able to come to North York Community Council and say, here's the start of this new neighborhood, here's the 3 buildings and our issues have been worked out. We'd like to demonstrate that there's a way that city councils do this, used to do this, that the OLT doesn't really encourage, but is a better way to build a brand new neighborhood. And so if you'll indulge me, I'm going to move this motion, refer this back, and hopefully we'll bring to you a great product to North York Community Council in July.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. And I just wanted to speak briefly. I support Councillor Carroll's motion. It's so important that we plan neighborhoods and not just buildings. And within the context of the OLT, it looks like just adding housing is the ultimate goal. But as councillors and city builders, our goal is much greater. We want livable cities for the future. So I think this is a great motion, and I hope that something beautiful can emerge from the work that results from this motion. So we're moving Councillor Carroll's motion on 11.7. We need one more person. Okay, great. Okay, so we're moving Councillor Carroll's motion on 11.7. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
And I'm sorry for such an important thing. I couldn't be there for my residents, but we're working with saving some small businesses over in Scarborough. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. So we're moving, I'd like to move now to 11.20 because, oh, sorry, I would like to go back to 11.2. I have a motion. So this is to direct the Community Planning North York District to work with the applicant as part of the site plan control process to construct a fence along the east property line to provide privacy to the existing residents on the adjacent property. Sorry, but I kind of jumped. Does anyone have questions of staff on this item? Any speakers? So I just want to move this motion that was just on the screen and just speak briefly. We had a lot of deputations at last North York Community Council, and in response we had an additional meeting with community. This fits in with our secondary plan for the area, and it also is providing family-sized housing in an area, rentals in an area that is lacking that. So we are supporting staff recommendations, but hoping that this fence will also help, because here in North York Community Council, we know that good fences make good neighbors. So hopefully we can come up with a good fence solution that will create more privacy for the neighbors on the east side. So I want to move my motion. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? That carries. And item as amended. All those in favor of item as amended? Yes. 11.2 passes. I'd like to jump to 11.20 and move staff recommendations. Any questions of staff? Any speakers? No. All those in favor of staff recommendations 11.20? That's passed. 11.23. There's a speaker on 11.23. Do we have to request to reopen? No. Okay. Oh, okay. Here is a speaker who'd like to speak on the reopening. So John Zanatti and Zanatti K, and they are here by video.
No, I'm
They're here in person.
Hi.
Okay, welcome.
Hi.
You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
I won't take that long. Good morning, council members. My name is John Zanatti. I'm here on the matter of reopening the application for the fence exemption at our home on 31 Norden. The fence exemption is the final element of the closing of a pool permit that was installed last year. The application for the... Sorry. Hi. I'm here on the matter of the reopening of an application for a fence exemption at our home at 31 Norden. The fence exemption is the final element of closing a pool permit installed last year. The application for the fence exemption was made by my pool company, and I didn't know that there might actually be a hearing on this. I only learned of the hearing the day after the hearing happened, and I immediately wrote to ask that it be reopened. So I'm here to ask that it be reopened. It's quite important to us to get this done, and if I knew of the hearing, I certainly would have been here. I don't think that there's a substantive issue ultimately for the hearing on April 2nd. I understand from my pool company that these are regularly granted. I don't need to get into the substance unless you would like me to, but all I'm asking is that we have a chance to hear the matter on April 2nd.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker?
No.
Okay, well, thank you. And Councillor Burnside, I believe you...
Yeah, I'd like to move the reopening.
Councillor Burnside would like to move the reopening, which would then bring this item to Community Council on April 2nd. All those in favor of reopening?
Can I ask a question of the mover, Madam Speaker?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I'm just having trouble understanding that we're reopening. What is the hearing on April 2nd? Is that the earliest we could consider this? Pardon me.
Isn't that the next community council?
So that's what he's referring to, that if we reopen it, it would be on that agenda in the next community council.
Yes,
we wouldn't
that's
consider
correct.
it today.
So we're reopening it to be discussed at the next community council.
Okay, can I just ask a quick question of staff?
Yes, you may.
Sorry, this is a very dry space I'm in Scarborough. I much prefer North York. The staff, part of the difficulty in considering this item is it would help us to see where the pool is. And we have two pictures that don't give us a sense of the whole backyard. Is it possible, if this is coming back, that we could get an improved visual of the proximity of the doors to the pool? Where is the pool and what does it look like? I can't tell.
Sahan just emailed it, I think.
I'm okay to provide those pictures. I think the pool is pretty well as per the permit, and so is the current fence and deck.
They're going to demolish. Oh, no.
Can I get an answer from staff, Madam Speaker?
Is there any staff who can speak to the matter? Would that be MLS? Is anyone from MLS here who can speak to this question?
Well, it's a reopening, right? Like, they're not generally here for reopenings.
Okay, so could I just speak to it briefly then, Madam
Yes, you can.
Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair, we've had this conversation before. I'm going to say it again. I know that council sometimes allows the gates that we see there. We all know that. We all know that, but we also know what the bylaw says. And so if we're going to decide to vary from the bylaw, we really need the whole picture attached to the report so that when we're reading our agenda the weekend before, we can tell, did the homeowner really make a good effort to meet the bylaw? Is it possible to meet the bylaw? Where is the pool? Could he have easily done a fence somewhere else? We use these things to decide whether or not we're going to vary from the bylaw as council members. And so we need the whole picture. Just a picture of a door with a gate around it doesn't help me. Where's the pool? How far is it from the door? Could they have easily done a proper enclosure? I don't know. And you know, we can hope that the owner shows up with a picture at council date, but I really think that it should be provided for us in the report when staff are submitting the report. And I've said that before. I'm just going to put it on the record. I've said it again. Please give me the whole picture when I'm looking at a pool fence item. Thank you. I'll support the motion to reopen, but I hope that shows up as a supplementary attachment when we're considering this.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. And I see the speaker nodding, so your advice has been heard. And so we're going to move to reopen. Councillor Burnside is moving to reopen the matter to be discussed at the next North York Community Council. All those in favor of reopening? Any opposed? That carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. 11.25. Councillor, Deputy Mayor Cole, this is your new item.
Okay, this is the speed humps on Glengrove, right? Yeah, I'm moving to defer this to the April 2nd meeting.
So Deputy Mayor Cole is moving to defer the item. All those in favor? Show of hands, that carries. Okay, thank you for everyone's patience. We're now on the last item of the day, North York 11.13, and we have a speaker, and that is, I'm sorry? Oh yes, Billy Caden from Mattamy Homes. Is Billy here or online? Online? Okay, Billy, welcome, and you have 5 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Let me just get organized and share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Great. So good morning, Madam Chair and members of council. My name is Billy Caden, and I'm here representing Madame Holmes, who is the applicant for both these demolition permits before you, as well as the active development application for a 24-story residential building at 26, 28, 36, and 38 Hounslow Avenue in North York. Just in terms of a brief overview of my deputation today, I'd like to walk the council through our concerns with the existing conditions of these properties and broader negative impacts to the community. Briefly walk through our active development application for a proposed residential replacement building that we continue to work collaboratively with staff in processing, and finally end off with a proposal for interim uses on the properties to improve the conditions and overall experience for the immediate community. So in terms of the current state of the homes, on the screen before you are recent photos taken from inside the properties. As you can see, there are significant amounts of water damage, molds, there are holes in the walls and roofs, unsafe and truly unlivable conditions. All water, hydro, and gas connections have been disconnected for years, and the structural integrity of these buildings is a serious liability. We've been dealing with squatters and break-ins consistently and continue to do our best to secure the site as best as possible and make it safe. But we are really concerned with the liability that these vacant properties bring to ourselves and, more importantly, the immediate community around us. I think we can all agree that the current conditions of these buildings are unfortunately conducive to unsolicited gatherings and unsafe practices. I think we would all agree that we want to avoid this in the community. With respect to the replacement building proposed on this site, we continue to work collaboratively with city staff and the councillor's office on the development application to facilitate approvals for a 24-story residential building. I will say this application is a bit unique as it falls under the newly imposed Bill 109 processing timelines, and I'd like to truly commend staff for working so expeditiously and collaboratively on this one thus far. And then secondly, in line with Madame and the city's overall commitment to sustainability and green building practices in the city of Toronto, we're currently designing this building to utilize a geothermal system for more sustainable heating and cooling practices. In order to effectively analyze and ultimately design this system, there's a considerable amount of front-ended feasibility and drilling work that's required to trust the ground conditions, which can't really with the structures until they're demolished. We're very optimistic, hopeful, and committed to ensuring a great resolution in short order on this proposal and ultimately providing much needed housing for the city and immediate community here. And finally, just as it relates to the proposal for an interim use on the site, we absolutely recognize the sensitivity of these demolition applications, and we will ensure that all debris, rubble is removed from the site immediately. It is secured and safe for everyone. We will strive to provide new public benefit to the community. And again, just to reiterate, we are committed to working alongside city staff, local councillor, as well as our local neighbors to provide a passive interim use on the site once it's demolished. In a potential partnership with local community-based organizations, just as an example, we hope to host a series of community-based events that will promote different forms of social interactions and provide a safe space for community gatherings. Thank you very much for your time and consideration on these demolition permits. That concludes my deputation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask questions of the deputant.
Sure. Councillor Carroll would like to ask questions of the deputant.
Just a couple of quick questions, Madam Speaker. I'm just wondering, how long has the applicant owned these properties?
So through you, Madam Chair, Councillor, far before my time, but I think it has been in the order of 4 to 6 years, perhaps I'd say. When we acquired them, they were owner occupied, and once the existing owners left, they were boarded up immediately and just have unfortunately deteriorated.
Yeah, as boarded up houses do. I'm just wondering why, while you were acquiring houses, while you were acquiring the whole block and working this, why why they couldn't have rented out and provided some form of housing until, because if you bought them, but you were in the order of acquiring the property one at a time, or however, we all know it's going to be 5 to 7 years before you even have a building permit starting from scratch in an owner-occupied house situation. Is there a reason why you couldn't have rented them out and provided housing in this neighborhood until that time?
Totally appreciate the comment. From my understanding, there was different iterations for development proposals on the site previously, and I would presume that they thought they were closer in the past, but unfortunately, I wasn't really involved at that time, so I don't want to speak incorrectly, but I appreciate the comment.
And where is the application that is currently going through the system at? Does the applicant have some idea of when they expect to reach an agreement on this one?
We are very hopeful that it'd be in short order. As I mentioned in the deputation, this is an interesting one that falls under the new Bill 109 timeline. So my understanding is that a recommendation or a report would have to go to council within 120 days, which would be in April, I believe. So we put our application back in October. We've had a public meeting and continue to work with the city on this one.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank
Love
you.
to speak when the time comes.
Yes, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Does anyone have questions of staff? I have a question. Currently, are there any consequences for builders who vacate their properties prematurely to prevent what has happened here? Some of these houses were quite new when acquired. If you look on the outside, there is at least one, if not two of them, that are fairly new, but now obviously they've been destroyed. So I'm just wondering, is there anything to either encourage, incentivize, or penalize developers who acquire properties and then, because they don't want to be landlords, end up letting the houses deteriorate until they're unlivable?
Good morning, Councillor, through the chair. I don't think we can compel them to have them occupied, but we do have standards that MLS would be enforcing regarding property standards.
And is a boarded up house, does that fulfill property standards?
I don't think MLS is here, but I would defer to them.
Okay. Okay, any other questions of staff? Speakers, Councillor Carroll?
Yeah, and you're the local councillor. I really feel for you in this situation, and I couldn't let this one pass. And I'll be frank, it's given the deputation. You're not doing me a favor if you're, oh, look at these terrible houses. We'll just demolish them for you. I'm really disappointed in a builder that should be as reputable as Mattamy engaging in what we know is the practice of demolition by rot. We have no choice but to allow demolition here. But we know when a property is first purchased and it's owner occupied, if the ambition is development, it takes a while to get that ready for development. We desperately need housing. These would even have been better for the neighborhood if they had been Airbnbs even. You could have had temporary worker housing being provided by Airbnb, and it would have been better than the surrounding community having to worry about squatters and illegitimate activities going on in these, and then just general rotten animal occupancy. Demolition by rot is just not on in this day and age with the type of housing crisis we have going on. And I have to say, I'm really disappointed in an applicant as reputable as Mattamy Homes. I hope we don't see this again in the near future in Community Council. Those are my comments, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. I have a motion. So I'd like to approve the application to demolish with conditions, and one of those conditions would be that they would be hosting community events every year until the construction begins. And this will be something that is making lemonade out of lemons, because I completely agree with Councillor Carroll. We should not be demolishing homes at a time where there is a housing crisis. And something that I would like to see happen is if we are able to meet with developers earlier in the pipeline when they are acquiring properties, we could work with them to connect them to people who provide transitional shelters for refugees. And I know that Mr. Jeff Houlihan, who is one of the developers in our neighborhood, has been providing housing for refugees in the interim at his site in Avondale. And that is, I think, a win-win for the community, which requires, is desperate actually for housing, transitional housing for refugees. And it also alleviates the pressure from developers because they don't want to be landlords, especially that have to go through an eviction process prior to demolition. So this prevents that from happening, and it provides something that is necessary. So I am unhappy that we're losing housing in a neighborhood that, and in a city where housing is at a crisis point, and we've been kind of cornered into this, but I also, accept the olive branch from the developer to work with the community to build community while we're awaiting their application process. So I'm moving this motion. All those in favor of the motion?
And what about this parties you're going to have there on the site, or what's this?
Oh, are you asking a question of the mover, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in conjunction, as we know, Toronto is one of the loneliest cities in the world. Not the world, in Canada. And so they've agreed to host.
Well, what do you base this loneliness on?
Oh, the Toronto Foundation. They issued a report.
That it's lonely? Okay.
Yes, they issued a report that Toronto is the loneliest
They've
city.
done a survey or whatever it is.
Yes.
But anyway, no, I'm just being facetious here. So,
Okay.
So in your motion, what are you moving? I'm not sure what's in
Oh, so yes, the developer has agreed to host 3 community events per year in partnership with a local organization. Yes, community building, as they're building the physical community towards the physical building.
No, I'm just wondering whether we can do this, given our integrity commissioner and our conflict of interest. I think it's a great idea, but I know I've tried to do these in the past and I was told you can't, because you're accepting benefits from a developer. So I'd like to get a clarification on that. Well, no, I think we should.
Is that a question for staff, Councillor?
Yes.
I'm just looking at to see if I agree that it's potentially a bonus. I think it may be out of an abundance of caution. Councillor Cole is right, and it should be removed.
Okay, we don't need to move the motion.
Sorry to put a damper
That's
on your
okay.
party.
They can still do it out of goodwill, and I don't need to be a part of it.
Madam Speaker?
Yes?
Madam Speaker, we have had rulings in the past from the Integrity Commissioner, and I think your motion tried to cover this, that the applicant can work with an NGO in your area.
Yes.
He just can't have the event for you.
That's
he can
right.
have it in partnership with an NGO, and that was where our current Integrity Commissioner saw it off. I don't know if the lawyer that is with us in the chamber today was aware of that opinion from Mr. Brady.
She was not.
I'd like to move the motion, and obviously we can consult with the Integrity Commissioner after council, but I'd like to move the motion as it stands. All those in favor? Recorded vote. Okay, all those in favor, Councillor Carroll, Councillor Burnside, and myself. And all those not in favor, Deputy Mayor Cole. So that carries motion. Okay, that's the item. Okay, so now we have confirmatory bills. Okay, Deputy Mayor Cole, could you move our confirmatory bills, please?
I move that bills 169 and 176, 183 and 184 prepared for the February 22nd, 2024 meeting, 11 of the North York Community Council be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. I so move.
All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. And Councillor Burnside, would you like to move our confirmatory bills?
That confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the North York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 11 on February 22nd, 2024 be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
Wow, great reading. All those in favor of the confirmatory bills? Any opposed? That carries. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Madam Chair.